Nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. DJ, PK with the day off. Barry Tramel, sports columnist for the Tulsa World, joining us. Barry, good morning.
Well, has anything happened since we last talked?
A lot of stuff has happened. It's been awesome. Where do you want to go? Michigan has just fired their coach for cause, and unlike LSU, I think they actually have cause. And I got to think that every other college football coach in America is figuring out, okay, yeah, that kid, we were in the Final Three for him. Call his high school coach. Let's go. So you got that. Notre Dame's thrown a massive fit. Maybe the playoffs need to be expanded. It would be why you have gotten in expanded playoffs. It depends on if they go to 14 or 16. And then the Utes would be the first team out. How is Notre Dame being treated, and why is Notre Dame reacting the way they are? And then, $500 million. What? Private equity at Utah? Yeah, I think a few things have happened, Barry. Where would you like to start?
No, I don't know. Not with Sherrone Moore. Man,
okay.
Mitch Albom had a good line, although he could have expanded on it. He said, you wake up one morning, you're the Michigan coach, and by nightfall you're in jail. And for his long-term future, that wasn't even the worst thing that happened to him that day. It's a lot easier to get out of jail than to get another job like Michigan.
Yeah.
So, what a mess. What a mess. But I don't know. Let me say this. I want to start with Kalani Sitake and Clark Lee to a certain extent. This is just me sitting here in Oklahoma, just sitting back trying to figure out the world. I see how Notre Dame reacted.
Mm-hmm.
And then to disappointing news or disappointing results. And then I see how Kalani Sitake reacted. And not enough spotlight is placed upon those actions of those institutions and individuals, because I long ago quit listening to coaches or schools when they talk about leading young men and character and all that kind of stuff. But when you see what Notre Dame has done, basically scorched earth policy with literally anybody that they can get in their viewpoint. And then you see how Kalani accepted BYU's fall. It's just night and day difference. And so I applaud Kalani. I applaud BYU. I applaud the Big 12 Conference. I applaud the state of Utah. Anybody connected with the Cougars, I applaud them. And Notre Dame should be ashamed of itself. That's what I say about what I've seen in the last how many 96 hours.
There's a conspiracy theory story up on Yahoo Sports that you can read that this is Notre Dame's first play in the chess game to get out of the ACC deal, because if they join a conference, they have to join the ACC, and they feel like their strength of schedule isn't good enough. They know their strength of schedule is a problem. More conferences are going to 9 games. This year's schedule wasn't good. Next year's schedule isn't very good. That they're pivoting to get out of that so they can either go to the Big Ten or maybe form their own conference, whatever. Do you buy that this is a move in a chess game, or do you think it's just a temper tantrum?
Well, I do think they should be rethinking their relationship with the ACC. They didn't count on a couple things. They didn't when they made this deal a few years ago, and many years ago when they first aligned with the ACC. I don't think they foresaw how precipitous would be the fall of ACC football. Mm-hmm. The ACC has. I mean, did you watch any of that game Saturday night?
I did.
I'm going to guess the attendance at 15,000.
It was sparse. It was sparse.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Arlington. They're blowing the roof off Jerry World, the Cougars and the Red Raiders. I mean, just an unbelievable atmosphere. Now BYU didn't, play well enough to keep it going, but there was nobody. If Duke and Virginia had played basketball, in Charlotte on Saturday night, they would have drawn more people than what the football game drew. So they got problems in that conference. And now if Florida State and Clemson are winning big, then things are okay or passable. But until that changes, it's red alert in that conference. And Notre Dame is stuck. I mean, Notre Dame's got zero. I mean, I know the committee did them wrong by leading them for 5 weeks. And, you're better than Miami. You're better than Miami. But if you look at Notre Dame's case to make the playoff, it's not there. I mean, they played after they played their two good teams to start the year. They played Arkansas, 0-8 in the SEC. They played Purdue, 0-9 in the Big Ten. They played Boston College and Syracuse, 1-7 in the ACC. Played Stanford. Just one bad team after another. And then, they picked up whoever it was, USC and Pitt. And Pitt's not any good either. But so the ACC really did hurt them. And going to 9-game schedules, I don't know if you saw it, but Georgia and Louisville they've got a home and home. They agreed to scrap it yesterday just because, both schools are going to 9-game conference. They had to trim the non-conference somewhere, and both of them have already traditional rivals, non-conference that they play. So Notre Dame could be getting squeezed, and their only fallback is the ACC, and that's not any place to build a resume. So, they've got challenges with that schedule, and the committee, for all of its many problems, ended up doing the right thing and saying, you know what, your schedule wasn't that good, and you lost to Miami straight up. So Notre Dame's got problems. I don't think they want to be in a conference. I don't think they want to be in the Big Ten. I don't think they want to build their own. I think they want to be independent. But independence, as BYU can tell them, is not always rosy. So I think that's some of the things they're dealing with. And, they made the championship game last year, and it was great, and everybody was for them and pulling for them. But this year, it didn't happen because of that schedule.
How did the $500 million private equity headline land in Oklahoma? And how do you think it landed around the Big 12?
Well, I think it is for people that don't understand it, they just don't think about it. For people that semi-understand it, I don't know that anybody fully understands it, but if you semi-understand it, I think it's an alarm about, I hope we don't have to do that. Private equity is, I'm not speaking from a position of strength here. I'm not speaking from a position of authority. When you start talking about numbers that big, I don't know, but private equity rarely has helped the product of whatever it's getting involved in. I can tell you that. It is in journalism. I can tell you all about it. It has been a what's the word? It has been a stopgap measure. It's helped get you out of deep holes, but without ever hope of being fruitful again. And that's just, is that the case it's going to be? I mean, this is going to be a big infusion of cash to Utah, no doubt about it. But, the theory is this helps the Utes, weather the storm until you get all this new revenue streams, and you'll be sharing it with the private equity people, but it's more money than what you were making earlier. So, you make the numbers work for you. But often the case is different. So I would be very alarmed. In Michigan, the Big Ten was ready to go down that road, and Michigan and USC as a conference, and Michigan and USC said no, and Michigan said, do this and we're gone. We're out of here. And, Michigan and Utah are not the exact same. They're not the exact same institutions, different everything. But to me, it's something you do only if you absolutely have to. Maybe Utah did. I don't have any clue. But, man, it's not something you really want to get involved with.
Well, the perception from the outside is that Texas Tech has more money than everybody, and BYU has more money than almost everybody. And it's not an accident that Texas Tech and BYU went 8-1 and ended up in the conference title game. I think there's a perception that the Utes have done more with less for a long time, and that's why they beat Oregon in a Pac-12 title game, and that's why they beat USC in a Pac-12 title game. But there does come to be a point where if you have a lot less money and you're smart, and they have a lot more money and they're smart, you can't beat the Dodgers. And I just wonder if Utah is looking, thinking, Texas Tech and BYU have more money, and they're spending it intelligently. So this is a major problem when we got to do something, because otherwise they're going to get further ahead and we're going to get further behind. And who knows if somebody else will get it together and we won't even be third.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a legitimate concern. I also think that other people are figuring stuff out without doing this, without the private equity. Indiana, Vanderbilt, heck, in the crazy ACC, Duke and Virginia. I mean, Duke's got a lot of money if they want to spend it. But people, it's not necessarily, what's interesting is the big spending fears of NIL and the transfer portal have not necessarily come to fruition in the big conferences. In the Big 12, Big 2, but in the in the Big 12, it certainly seems that way. But I would need more. I'd need more data points, to use a committee term. I'd need more data points before I might make a deal like this. And again, I'm not coming from a position of authority in high finance, so maybe there's an element to this. I don't know, but I can understand why Utah's doing it. But I would be very, very concerned if I was in Utah athletics, because down the road, it could be a bad situation.
I've heard a theory combined with an Ed Orgeron quote that makes me think, I wonder if we can kind of see around the corner and see what's coming here in the NIL era. For a long time, we knew big state schools, especially in the South, might be cheating, might be paying money, and that might be why they had an advantage and they won a lot. And then Ed Orgeron drops the quote on bussing with the boys. You know what? Hey, coach, you've been out of coaching for a while. How are you going to adjust to NIL? He said, well, it's a minor adjustment. What do you mean? I said, well, back then we used to walk through the back door with the cash. Now we just got to walk through the front door with the cash. All right? There's pretty much everybody thought about the SEC, said by a guy who used to work at USC and LSU. There it is. Now, I've heard that in this New World era, Vandy, that just wouldn't do that, so they were in last place in the SEC. Now it's all above board, and they've got a lot of smart grads who have gone on to have fantastic careers, and they got a lot of money, and this isn't a fluke. They're going to do this going forward, and watch out for the private schools, watch out for the smart schools. Stanford has a long way to go to turn things around, but Stanford has access to a lot of money. If they decide they want to play ball and win, they're not going to be short on money. Do you buy that we're at a big pivot point here and that these private smart schools are about to have a major advantage?
Well, I do think – I don't know about a major advantage, but I do think what they have is and BYU's in this, Georgia Tech could be in this, all kinds of people. Mm-hmm. They are in position to do something about what has been a decades-long problem in terms of fewer numbers, those kinds of things, state appropriations, whatever you want to list, you want to give, University of Georgia versus Georgia Tech, or North Carolina versus Duke, or whoever. They are in position to do something about it. And people like BYU and who did you say? Vanderbilt. Yeah.
Vanderbilt.
They haven't wanted to, they don't want to soil themselves by cheating. They don't want to soil themselves by getting in this mess. But now that it's open, now that it's free, now that it's the way it's supposed to be, they're willing to do it. I don't know. I don't think we're headed for a takeover. I do think we're headed for a more egalitarian situation where people that are downtrodden, and Texas Tech, throw Texas Tech in there. Texas Tech is not necessarily a rich school, but it's got some donors with some pocket change, and if they want to do something about it, they can. And so that's what we've seen so far. So I think it makes for a very more, and that's where the parity comes in, right? We've been talking about free agency has always created parity in sports, never has not created parity. And that's where it comes in this. It just gives other people more opportunity to get something done. So I don't know if I don't necessarily think they're going to take over the sport. I don't think Ohio State has to worry about Northwestern. I don't think Alabama has to worry about Vanderbilt. However, they're going to rise up and beat you from time to time, and they're going to get really good. And sometimes they might win the conference. I mean, Stanford not that long ago was the best program in the Pac-12 after Pete Carroll there for a few years. Mm-hmm. So, Oregon was a little down, USC was a little down, here came Stanford. So it can happen even in the old days, and it can really happen now.
What does a Big 12, decades-long football guru like Barry Tramel do when there's no Big 12 football? FCS, Army-Navy, Christmas shopping? What are you going to do with yourself, Barry?
Well, on Saturday, I am taking my 14-year-old granddaughter to her volleyball tournament over in Tulsa. I live in the central part of the state, so we got us a volleyball tournament. Her mother lost her mind and agreed to host a Christmas party for her older sister's softball team, which is, I think Sherrone Moore is going to have a better day than somebody that has to do that. But I got, me and my wife, we got to take our 14-year-old to the volleyball tournament. It's going to be great. I'll watch Army-Navy a little bit on my phone, a little basketball, but I'll watch a whole lot of volleyball. So it's pretty cool that we've got the way the schedule breaks out anymore. Remember we used to sort of take the whole month of December off because the big bowl games were at the end of the month or in January, and now we're only, what's today, 8 days. We're 8 days from the playoffs starting. So football really doesn't stop. I assume eventually they're going to get this playoff. When they get it to 16, they'll probably condense the schedule, and we may not have hardly any off weeks. If you don't play like Oklahoma and but Oklahoma and A&M and Miami and those teams playing in the first round without a conference championship game, that's basically a 3-week break. But that's going to go away, I think. So we won't have many days like this moving forward, I wouldn't think.
I'd agree with that. At the minimum, they move it. They'll put games on this Army-Navy weekend, and then we'll have semifinals on New Year's Day.
Yeah, which is a shame because I love Army-Navy. I love the idea that they get to
have center stage all to themselves.
Have the spotlight. It's a wonderful game. It's always thrilling to me. It's really cool. In Oklahoma, we're fired up because the Navy coach is doing a great job, and he's an Oklahoma City guy, great guy, Brian Newberry. So got somebody you can pull from if you can't decide between the Black Knights and the midshipmen. So, it's an American treasure, the Army-Navy game. So I hate to see it get a little bit dinged. But that's just the nature of the way the world works these days, I guess.
Yep. All right, well, enjoy the tournament and enjoy the family time, Barry. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week.
Okay, see you later.
There's Barry Tramel. Just a few things going on. Michigan's going to need a new coach here very quickly, or they're going to lose a lot of talented players. And the Utes and the equity deal and Notre Dame, what are they going to do going forward? All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Frank Dolce, the former Ute quarterback, joins us. I bet he's got a couple opinions on the equity deal. We'll talk with him next. Stay with us, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is JJ and Alex. I got this.
There's another conversation to be had about the 12-team playoff, how BYU was treated by that committee this time around, which is very, very discouraging and disappointing because BYU did not get the respect that they deserved. They were underranked the entire process, which put them behind the eight ball unfairly. When you take their resume and you match it up with Miami and Notre Dame and even Alabama, you can make a case for BYU needing to be ahead of those teams. They said BYU wasn't in before going into this week. Well, why not? You should have punished them after the Big 12 championship game. And why did BYU get punished for playing the Big 12 championship game and Alabama didn't? Alabama's sitting right now with 3 losses. One of those losses was double-digit loss to a 5-7 team, and they replayed the team that they beat that everyone's hanging their hat on with that game and that win over Georgia, and they got absolutely boat raced on the same Saturday that BYU did. Why are they getting excused? They didn't even move.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Look who's back, Frank Dolce. Frank, good morning.
DJ, holding down the fort, I understand.
I am. It's that time of year. Little vacation for PK.
Well, at PK's age, when he takes a day off, do you know what my first thought is?
I'm afraid to ask. What is it?
It's elective surgery. Elective surgery.
No.
Don't you think?
It's R&R, baby. It's rest and relaxation. Good food and friends.
If he comes back and his cheeks are stretched around back behind his ears, I mean, what would you say?
I'd be stunned. I'd be stunned because, well, I'd say, hi, Jack Nicholson. I mean, you know. But it's not going to happen. That is so far out of PK's zone. I don't think he's going down that road.
If you were PK, what elective surgery would you get? What would you do?
This is a horrible turn of events. I think I'm sitting this one out. Is this what happens when I'm gone? I'm starting to question your loyalty to me, Frank. I'm starting to question.
I can guarantee I've never asked about your elective surgery.
Oh, that's a pretty narrow window. Well, that leaves room for trouble. Just a different flavor of trouble.
Oh, yes.
All right, speaking of flavors of trouble. Right. Private equity, a 9-figure cash infusion that's going to generate $500 million. There are people thinking this is the only way forward for Utah in this changing world. There are people thinking, I remember when my company got involved with private equity. There were layoffs. It was horrible. We couldn't wait for those guys to go away. There's a whole continuum of responses. I'm wondering where you, and not just you, but I know the alumni talk, and you're in touch with teammates and coaches. What's the reaction? You can start with you personally or the bigger group. What are you Utes thinking? Because you're Utes through and through.
It's mixed. I mean, the reaction is mixed. And I think a lot of people feel like, you know what, in this world of college football, collegiate athletics, Utah doesn't necessarily have the resources to fund the program like other programs are being funded. And if the model is Texas Tech, then like that is, if that's the future of collegiate football, then Utah's going to have a hard time competing. Now, I love what Utah does, and they've always built with athletes and coaching staffs and people surrounding the program who were probably undervalued, and that's been the secret of Utah football, especially. So to compete moving forward in this world, it just feels like, unfortunately, you have to be able to, for lack of a better phrase, you have to be able to buy a team, and Utah doesn't have the resources to do that. I kind of like that. I mean, I feel like I feel like the donors might have it right. Like, I don't, do I really want to be involved with a $30 million roster? Like, is that my charitable gift to the university? Is a $30 million football roster? Like, what? I think there are a lot of questions about that.
Well, first off, the first question is, do you have the net worth to give $30 million every year? So whether you want to or not, you better start with you. I don't know whether you want to or not, Frank. I just don't think you can. So cross Frank Dolce's name off the list. Okay.
You think it's more of an ability to give rather than some larger.
I don't know what your desire is, but since you don't have the ability, it doesn't matter what your desire is. It's just you can't do it. And Frank, we need another $30 million next year too. So get on that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I hope I hope those oil wells are still producing because we're going to need that. And it's going to be 30 next year. And it's, whatever. And so I'm a little, I don't like the way it's going. The concept of collegiate athletes being paid or compensated. Okay. Maybe that's the right way to do it, but the way it's happening now doesn't feel like the right way to do it. And so, and I don't know how you rein it back, and I don't think we're getting any help from the government on reining that back at the moment. So I don't know. There's mixed feelings about it. With regard to taking on private equity, I mean, we all know the horror stories. We all heard the horror stories.
Or have lived them. And I think, you can talk yourself into a false sense of security about that. Oh, well, wait, we have all the votes on the board. Oh, wait, they don't have decisions relative to personnel. And, oh, wait, but look, private equity exists essentially for one reason: to earn a lot of money, to make a lot of money. And so if there is a decision and to be made regarding the football program, I'm talking about a decision of who you play, who's starting week to week, personnel decisions. I'm talking 3rd down and 6 at your own 13-yard line, and you need to convert. And is there some guy in New York on his computer running the analytics and piping in the play that you should be running next? Like, I don't think any of these things are outside of the realm of the possibility when you take on a partner that's sole purpose is to drive revenue. And then now every single decision becomes scrutinized, and they'll put a data point around it. My experience is, and this may or may not be valid, but it's, you only know what you know. My experience is the problem with private equity is the plans are great, and there certainly are efficiencies that need to be obtained, and I can name some at the University of Utah for sure. And so they can drive greater income. I'm sure they can. But the problem is that it's not about the number of seats on the board. It's the fact the contract is usually written, and I haven't read this one, so who knows. But these contracts are often written, the private equity people get paid first. They put in this, they get this. Now, the rest of the money, that's what you're going to get to run the department. The private equity people, they get their money, and they get it first. And then I hope there's enough money for everything else. Now, I know they can generate more money. First off, you could sell more seats at a basketball game, right? We all know that would generate more money. But beyond that, Frank, the basketball experience hasn't changed that much from 1969 when that thing opened. You walk in, you pay $10 for a hot dog, you pay $10 for a Pepsi, you pay $10 for Red Vines, and you're done. Now, the Delta Center is newer, completely remodeled, making way more money on the first floor than they used to, making way more money on the second floor than they used to, and I think making more money on the sixth floor than they used to, although I don't have as many specific stories about the sixth floor. So they have figured out things, even when they're, and I know people say, oh, Utah basketball's bad. Jazz basketball has not been nearly as good the last 16 years. They've been to the playoffs 9 times in 16 years. It was 23 or 26 before that. The basketball hasn't been as good. They've figured out how to make a lot more money with the experience around the game. And yes, people are paying for winning, but they are also absolutely positively paying for the experience. So whenever they do this new arena at the U, if these people coming in with their hospitality background drive more revenue, I can see where they can make a lot more money. However, I'm certain they're going to get paid a lot more money, and I expect, although I don't know, I expect they're going to get paid first. Is there going to be enough money to fund the entire athletic department the way it needs to be funded?
Well, it's not a charitable gift. Like,
right? Not like your $30 million, not like that $30 million check you write.
Yeah, absolutely. And now there's a for-profit entity. Like,
yep.
None of this is charitable. So, I think people should have that understanding about what's happening. And you're exactly right. The experience has to change because you need to drive people into the seats and people that are going to purchase a lot of stuff relative to the University of Utah athletics program. So that definitely, the entertainment aspect of the game in the experience, I think will absolutely change. So I don't know. At the end of this whole thing, whether or not Utah should take private equity, the issue is Utah has to. If Utah wants to compete at the highest levels, then they have to have the resources available. This gives them the resources available. Is this the right thing to do? Is this the right way to do it? I mean, I don't know. I just feel like we'll have to see how that goes. I mean, I've said this, and maybe it's being overly dramatic, but if I'm Morgan Scally, and we've taken on, and let's just say hypothetically, Coach Whittingham stays for another year, and he runs out his contract, and now Morgan Scally's the coach in waiting, and Coach Whittingham steps down. Everybody celebrates. Here comes Morgan Scally. Well, wait a minute. Does private equity say, hey, is Morgan Scally the guy that's going to drive the most revenue to the University of Utah football program? Or, wait a second, there's this other guy out here who we think might be a better bet than Morgan Scally. I mean, I think those kinds of decisions are going to be very highly scrutinized, even though what I believe about the contract and what I believe about where personnel decisions still lie are with the University of Utah and with the athletics department. I just don't know how you get around an entity that's writing a check of that size.
So in all, are you more worried than you are bullish? I mean, you're not 100% either way. I get that. I'm just trying to gauge your level of concern versus your level of optimism.
Oh, man, you know what? That is such a good question because I don't know if I've ever thought about that. Wait a second. Okay, after all of these things that we just talked about, am I excited about it? Well, you know what? That's a really good question, and I would have to say my initial reaction to that was, yeah. I mean, that could be good for the program. I mean, in terms of just black and white, wins, losses, competing at the upper echelons. I mean, maybe that could be the thing. But man, there's a lot of stuff that goes along with it. So yeah, maybe I am slightly on the bullish side.
For a long time, the University of Utah, this is very philosophical here, and we're getting into it pretty late in this segment, but for a long time, the University of Utah was about winning conference championships. And when they did, everyone celebrated. Then they got a taste of the big time, right? There's the Final Four with Majerus, and then the Fiesta Bowl, and then the Sugar Bowl. And there was this dream to compete with the biggest and the best at the highest level. And they got into the Pac-12. And then they got to the title game twice, and then they won it twice. And then they're 3 points away from beating Ohio State with a converted running back playing a corner. It was unreal. And so there's this taste, and I get it. And it tastes of big time. Now, go back 30 years when I moved here, San Diego State was still in the same league. They're still in the same conference. And when they moved to the Mountain West, they were still in the same conference 20 years ago. And then 15 years ago, everything changes. Now, my connection to San Diego State is pretty loose. My dad went there. I went to games as a kid. I haven't lived there since I was in high school. My connection to them is basically these 2 sweatshirts I wear that I found in the back of my dad's closet when I cleaned it out. And I'm wearing one of them right now. And that's it. But I've watched them they had the dream of the big time, but then they seem to settle into, let's play for conference titles in the Mountain West. And they won with Rocky Long, and they had a good time. And didn't really fill the stadium, and they wanted to fill the stadium, and they fired Rocky Long, and it all fell apart again. But their ambitions seem to be, and dictated by the way college football has gone. They've been left out, and they've been left behind, and they're clearly down a couple of tiers. But their ambitions seem to be win the conference, and I wonder if you can contain your expenses that way. If you don't have the money to compete with the top 5 or 10 schools in the country, and that's where the Utes got in football. I mean, they are on the fringe of the top 10, playing Penn State and Ohio State, who are in the top 10, and they couldn't beat them in 2 games. Now, there are a lot of people who believe, given a bigger sample size, the Utes will climb the next hurdle because they've climbed so many steps on the ladder to get there that they will climb one more. But I wonder, with the rules changing, is that realistic? Should you accept that your place in the world is a little less? And there are people hearing me say this right now who are screaming at their car, DJ, you're a moron. I know. I am. It's a fact. Let's not debate that. Yeah. Let's go back to the question, should the Utes be trying to compete at the highest level? Because it seems like if you don't have top 25 money, how can you get to the top 10? You can outsmart your place in the money ladder a little bit, but you can't do everything with nothing.
I don't think we can. I mean, I think that if you believe that this equity group is coming in and writing a big check and saying, hey, go compete for conference titles, then maybe you get there every few years, and maybe you're competitive most of the time, and then that's not. If you believe that, then you're that's not the deal.
This deal screams beat BYU, beat Texas Tech, and get the top 4 seed that Texas Tech has right now. That's what this deal screams to me.
Absolutely. That's what I think. So the expectation now, I mean, as a fan of Utah football, I believe if Utah's winning, winning a conference championship and being competitive for a conference championship year in and year out, that accomplishes a lot of the goals, all of the goals, maybe. As a private equity group, I'm not stroking a big check to be competitive. I'm stroking a big check because I believe that if I write this check, Utah's going to win conference championships. Utah's going to get into the playoffs. Utah's going to compete for a national title, and that's where I make my money back.
Frank, we're going to leave it right there for now, but my guess is we are going to talk about this many, many more times going forward.
Many times. I think the greatest thing that I came up with today was the guy sitting in New York scrutinizing a 3rd and 6 at your own 14-yard line.
That's like the play clock's ticking, dude. What should we? No,
they have the whole analytics squad on it.
My experience is they will stick to the money and they will let you make one hire. But if that hire doesn't work, they'll say you can't make that hire anymore. Look what you did. Mm-hmm. That's my experience with it. But we'll see. It's not with these people, so who knows?
Who knows? It's a brand new day for Utah. I'm gonna be optimistic until there's not a reason to be optimistic.
That's not a bad way to go through life. Borrowing trouble from the future. I'm going to be pessimistic until someone beats it out of me. Come on. All right. And then there's realistic sitting over to the side. Try that sometime. It's not as much. It's not as much fun. You don't get to ride the roller coaster in the same way.
Not fun at all.
Yeah.
Not fun at all.
All right. Thanks, Frank. You're the man.
DJ.
All right. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you soon.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We got a poll up. You can go on Twitter and vote. This Notre Dame story is very interesting. It's not a local story, I get that, but I think part of this goes back to how many teams should be in the college football playoff. Notre Dame might be angling for whatever it is they're angling for, but it would look a lot different if they were on the inside. How many teams should be in the college football playoff? 12, 14, 16, 24? Cast your votes. DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, bro. You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what you doing?
Well, now it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
Your show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
Cheap bass! Cheap bass!
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz. Woo! Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The John Watson Northern Utah High School Players of the Week are Abby Christensen of Fremont High and Traden Bessinger of Davis High. Christensen led Fremont to a 2-1 mark last week. She had 13 points, 8 boards, and a 42-41 loss to Bountiful. Followed that up with 25 points and a rout of Corner Canyon, and 22 points and a win over Ridgeline. Bessinger led the Darts to a trio of wins, tallying 19 points and a win over Copper Hills, 15 points and 12 boards and a win over Mountain View, Idaho, and another 16 points and a win over Mountain Vista from Colorado. See why new and used car buyers give John Watson Chevrolet more 5-star reviews than any other Chevy dealer in Utah. John Watson Chevrolet, your 5-star Chevy dealer. The number of high school basketball teams that travel out of state is incredible. There is so much traveling going on. There's so many tournaments here in Utah, teams coming in from Idaho and Colorado and Nevada, and at least they're adjacent states. You got teams coming in from Texas this weekend.
Well, and yeah, so this one was the Corner Canyon invited a bunch of these teams in state, but you're right. There's a lot of in and out of state travel from.
Yeah, Lehigh's got the tournament this weekend.
Correct, yeah. It seems that
Corner Canyon's had
each
several
one
teams
has
in.
one each weekend. We had Pleasant Grove earlier this year, had the one where they brought in some of the bigger names across the country. So, yeah, it feels like almost every weekend this time of year you've got another high school hosting teams from all over the country. But just as much as we bring them here, there's a lot of teams traveling out of state as well.
Big story in Michigan. Sherrone Moore wakes up as the football coach at Michigan. He ends up in jail. There's an assault charge. There's allegations of an improper relationship with a staffer. Michigan has zero tolerance. There have just been one bombshell development after another. What matters here right now isn't clear. What could matter here, though, this Michigan is a big-time job. They've got a big-time roster. They went 9-3 this year. They got a lot of guys back. They got a young quarterback everybody loves. If Michigan doesn't hire quickly, they risk losing a roster and a recruiting class that's in the top 15 in the country. That's a lot of talent, and everybody else is sharpening the knives and going out and trying to get the player that they recruited and came second on, or either right now and flip them, or that they came in second on, a year or two ago or whatever. There's a lot of athletes, and I mean, that's the first thing I think every coaching staff went to. And a lot of these players have agents, and they're like, we don't need to get stuck with a bad year in the middle of a rebuild. Maybe I've got to move my guy somewhere. So you have players with agents reaching out now. I mean, everything's changing. And also you got the coaching search and the names. And to a degree, people are throwing stuff against the wall, but also they're throwing reasonable stuff against the wall. If you want a big name at a big program, if Michigan is going to rip off a big program the same way USC went and stole Oklahoma's coach or LSU went and stole Notre Dame's coach, how's that worked out? In either case. If you get either one of those, okay, is Michigan going to go to Alabama and try to kill the board? And maybe he says, hey, let's stay a step out of the posse. I've been pretty good here, but Alabama doesn't have the NIL money, and they're expecting me to do what Saban did, and that's ridiculous, so maybe he goes to Michigan. But then if you're looking for, hey, find a coach in a group of 5 who's really good, find the next up-and-comer, Jason Eck at New Mexico. Whatever Michigan does, it seems like is going to open up other jobs and the domino effect and what's going to happen. And as every job opens, that opens up more players. So getting to the point here where you're trying to put a roster together and it's absolutely crazy. Yes, everybody's looking at Michigan players and Michigan recruits, but depending on who gets hired, everybody could be looking at Alabama recruits and Alabama players, or New Mexico players and New Mexico recruits. And you can say, well, it's New Mexico. It's like, well, Utah just plundered New Mexico. How did that go? Offensive coordinator, quarterback, wide receiver, running back. The running back was okay. He wasn't the guy. But the wide receiver was the leading wide receiver, and the quarterback was the guy, and the OC was yeah, that worked out pretty well. So brace yourself. Sherrone Moore's situation is about to impact a lot of other people. Which people, we don't know yet.
Well, and the other thing about it is, you think about it, BYU just locked up Kalani Sitake. How happy do they have that locked in now when this is...
Because Michigan might have come after him. And who's to say Michigan wouldn't come after him? Because New Mexico locked in Steve Alford on a 10-year contract, and then Steve Alford magically ended up at UCLA like a couple weeks later.
True. That always can happen.
So I think he's locked in. I think he'll be back. But college sports was wild when that happened with Steve Alford, and the merry-go-round only goes faster. I think people feel like they're not on the merry-go-round with the music playing, swinging around looking at the view. It's like 60 miles an hour. Can you keep your lunch down? Things are changing so fast here. Do you do the teacups at Disneyland?
Okay.
Those things look nasty.
My kids...
That's 60 miles. That college football's turning into the teacups.
My kids love them. And they love to do like the extra spin
because the teacup is spinning and then you can spin the cup.
It messes me up.
I got on that one time and I thought, okay, I don't need to do that again.
I get forced to go on it because, kids want to do it, whatever. But I'm the one who sits there and I'm just like, all right, let's endure this for the 5 minutes it's going.
Yeah.
But it's not my cup of tea.
College football is the teacups right now, that's for sure. All right, with Notre Dame, and we'll get into this story coming up. With Notre Dame, they're complaining a lot. And they're complaining in a way that's drawing the blowback that we don't usually see in college football, which tells you that it must be way worse behind the scenes. But it is leading to the question how many teams should play in the college football playoff. Other teams might be upset, just might not be expressing, well, they are not expressing it publicly the same way, but they are upset. How many teams should be in the college football playoff? What do you want to see, 12, 14, 16, 24? There is a great quote about that I think is going to stand the test of time. And as far seen as this quote is, I don't know if it's far seen enough. All right, it ties into this poll question. You can vote on Twitter, David DJ James. We will get to that. And, of course, this is going to directly affect Utah and BYU. I think without question. I think it was the last thing that I just talked to Frank Dolce about. Stay with us, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.